Hi everyone. Today I will be reviewing The Second Life of Ben Haskins by Matt Kick and Mike Sorce. This script was featured on the 2018 Blacklist and seems to be in the sci-fi genre. So the logline reads, Ben Haskins loses his battle with cancer, leaving his beloved wife Kat a widow. About 20 years later, a mysterious new technology has brought Ben's consciousness back, but into a different body, one belonging to a more recently deceased man. After acclimating to his new self, Ben asks to be reunited with his long-lost wife, only to discover she has opted never to see him again. Convinced this must be a mistake, Ben enlists a new friend to help him in the search to win back the love of his former life. So we've seen this concept playing out in other scripts and films before. Recently in 2015, I believe, we had the film Selfless, starring Ryan Reynolds, which featured the same type of concept where consciousness is put into a different person's body, and that film played out as an action thriller. There was also a script on last year's Blacklist called Where I End by Imran Zaidi, which I'll also be reviewing soon, and that script is essentially a dramatic version, but it's also a thriller type of version where you live in a world where your consciousness can be uploaded into the same body, but your body can basically be reformed. So if you die, you can use the same organs and the same body parts and essentially come back. It doesn't really explain in that script how that happens, but that's the conceit of the film. And in that script, he came back to essentially find out, or essentially suspecting that his wife had killed him. And so that film played out that way. So in this script, it's essentially, I feel, a less suspenseful version of that, because in this one he's not really suspecting like his wife killed him. He's more just wondering why does his wife not want to see him anymore. And I think that was an interesting question. It had a mystery to it, and so that's leading me into the positives of the script, that's the main mystery. That's the reason why I as a reader stuck around, because I wanted to know, why does his wife not want to see him anymore? So let me first start with a general impression of the script. This script was quite slow, and I don't mean to say that in a negative way. I think it depends on your genre and what type of films you like. For me, I was expecting this more to be like a sci-fi thriller, but it wasn't. It was more a sci-fi drama. And so if that's your cup of tea, if you like dramatic films, then this might be a film for you, or a script for you. But for me, I'm not a huge fan of drama films. I like action, I like thriller, I like fast-paced. And this script essentially was just a lot of people talking with each other. So the question is, was I intrigued? Was I engaged? And I think it's hard to say. I think it depended on what phase I was at in the script. I think it's a little bit slow in the first half. Essentially, he comes back from the procedure. He's trying to get accustomed to his new life. He's in a younger person's body now, a very handsome guy, as the script says. And so he's trying to kind of live that bachelor life and trying to get over his wife. But that question keeps gnawing at him. He still has grief. He still has emotion. He still has regret. He still has longing to see his wife. But it's a crime to contact someone after this procedure is done if the person doesn't want you to contact them, kind of like a restraining order. And so he's not able to do it. He meets this girl called Abby, who for some reason has an interest in him, and he at her urging and prodding, he essentially decides to take the risk and go and try to meet his wife Kat and figure out where she is and why she doesn't want to see him again. And so like I said, there's quite a bit of talking in this film. What I mean by that is it's just dialogue after dialogue. There's no action, there's not really many set pieces. And like I said, that can be good or bad. I think it depends on the strength of the writing, and it depends on what your cup of tea is. Like, do you like watching Downton Abbey? Then maybe this is going to be your cup of tea. I think the writers do some clever things in terms of talking about the society. They really sold me on the future of the society. I really liked the grief app. I liked other little things that they had kind of sprinkled throughout. It made me believe in the world. So I did feel like I was transported to a different world. I thought that part was well done. The main mystery, the main reason why I kept reading in the script was I wanted to know why she left. And that's the power of us asking a simple question and of having a simple mystery. And this is going to be taking me into the negatives, but essentially the question then is, though, you can't just have the mystery. You have to also have a satisfying answer. And so, spoiler alert, the reason why she left him is essentially just because she got pregnant very shortly after he had gone into that procedure. And so it was very hard for her being single and being raised, and she kind of fell in love with other guy. Sorry, I can't remember his name, but essentially who she's married to now. And it turns out he's a pretty good guy. And she thought it would just be too hurtful to kind of see him again after all of this, and so that's why she put in the restraining order. And I mean that revelation kind of just had me scratching my head like that's it, that's all it was. And I don't mean to say that in a very negative or harsh way. I just meant that I wanted to see more. I just felt like that seemed like such a foreseeable problem, such a foreseeable issue. Like, didn't they think of this before he went into the procedure, that yes, it's going to be hard for like her to be on her own for so long? How realistically, how long was she expected to wait for Ben to come back? Like, there's this whole back and forth where Ben's like, you promised that you would stay with me forever, forever. But I mean, she, like, it's been 20 years since he came back. You honestly, realistically expected her to just be alone this whole time. It just seemed like a very selfish move on Ben's part, and I kind of had trouble empathizing with him on that factor. I didn't find the drama or the interplay between the love triangle too compelling or too convincing. Again, this isn't my cup of tea, so it's possible that other people who like this type of genre may have found it appealing. I think my main qualm with the drama is I didn't feel, despite the circumstances, I didn't feel that there was enough conflict in the script. So, for example, Raymond is described as a great guy. Raymond is Kat's new husband. And, you know, he is a great guy. He's very understanding. He's very considerate. They kind of go into a flashback of how he and Kat met, how he supported her, how he helped her, how he played with Owen as a baby. Owen is the son of Kat and Ben's. And so, you know, you kind of feel a lot of, like, you'd be like, oh, this guy's a good guy. And Kat, on the other hand, you feel empathy for her because she's had a hard life and she had to struggle a lot. And you can't realistically have expected her to just stay single that whole time. And then Ben, of course, you feel bad for him because he had cancer and he had to go through this procedure. So basically, like, all three of these people are quite decent people. There wasn't that much conflict in that. I thought the writers are going to make Raymond to be like some arrogant, rich douchebag, but he wasn't. He was a good guy. He's like a self-made millionaire. And so he had to work from the ground up. And so, you know what I mean? Like, there wasn't like conflict. You weren't really rooting for any one person. I didn't find myself necessarily rooting for Ben. I didn't find myself necessarily rooting for Raymond or rooting for Kat, or feeling much for Owen. And I think that's a bad sign, because then that means we're not invested in the destinies of these characters. They don't really care about what happens to them. So, and I think that's the fault of the drama not being too compelling and not having us invested as much as the writers would want us to into the characters. There was one interesting part about the script was the twist that came close to the end, which is that Ben is actually occupying the body of Abby's boyfriend. I thought that was really good and very clever. I, as a reader, did not see that coming, and it kind of jolted me up and got me invested and got me to finish the script. So I think that was a very good twist. I didn't see that coming, and it kind of added an extra layer. It added more nuance to the story, and I think the script could have used more of those types of twists. So I think essentially my main criticism of the script is that the reason Kat left, for me anyway, seemed very vanilla. So without even reading the script, if you just told me the logline and asked me, why do you think Kat left? I would say, well, she probably left because it's hard being single, it's hard being alone. You can't expect a woman to wait 20 years or a man to wait 20 years for some procedure that may never happen, that may never come, and just be single that whole time and be miserable. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. And so I think that is a problem, because it shows like you're not taking the story into an interesting direction or into a new direction. It's just it's the same vanilla type of conflict that we expect again and again. There wasn't that much nuance. There wasn't that much difference in this script and in their relationships. And so I think the script could benefit more from that. But like I said, there were positives. It may have sounded quite harsh, but there were positives in the script. Good world building, good twists. And like I said, if drama's your thing, maybe this script will appeal to you more. But for me, I think I needed a little bit more from the conflicts. I needed a little bit more from the characters and the relationships, and would have liked to have seen a more compelling reason as to why Kat had left Ben and why she never wanted to see him again. Because even, like, it just seems harsh. It seems like, you know, this guy goes and does this operation for you, and you just kind of ditch him and leave him. And I didn't really buy her explanation, or the explanation that's given in the script. So that's my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys thought if you read this script, and hope you guys enjoyed this video.